Hi, I am Charlie, and today we are going to talk about the P915 Medusa. We'll see what it is, what are its strengths, and how to use it, or at least how I use it in different contexts. First, we'll use it for mixing in a more subtle way, and then we'll design a couple of sounds with it to see what can be achieved. That will be fun. So the P915 Medusa is inspired by the early and highly regarded 914 FFB that Moog created in the 60s. It carefully and faithfully recreates the character of the original filters and then brings it to the next level by adding new features to fit modern workflows. At its core, it's a fixed filter bank, meaning it's a series of bandpass filters with fixed frequencies, and that implies a few things. For example, a filter bank can completely shut off a band when you turn it to 0, where an EQ will only reduce it. Where an EQ is handy to aim at particular frequencies to clean your sounds, a fixed filter bank really excels at shaping the tone of your instruments. It does wonderfully on acoustic instruments by mimicking their natural resonances, and it also does really well on synthesizers, which is what we are going to explore today. So here I have a project of a song I just finished mixing, and there is a song in there that I find muddy, on which I'd like to try the Medusa. It's this one. And here is in context. So let's put a Medusa on it and see how it works. So in the middle of the levels of each filter, you can see in the first row, each frequency is the double of the previous one, so they are all an octave apart. And same thing in the second row, they are all an octave apart, but about halfway between the ones of the first row. You then have a low shelf and a high shelf for what's below and above this array. You can activate a low-pass filter and a high-pass filter with the frequency and the resonance. You have a drive knob to boost the signal here. You have a tilt slider to boost more the lows or more the highs if you need to rebalance it. And on the other side, you have the dry-wet slider. This dry-wet has actually two modes. When the sum is deactivated, it's a classic dry-wet going from 100% dry to 100% wet. And when sum is activated, the dry signal is always at full volume, and you can use the slider to add the wet signal on top. Alright, so let's see how it sounds. So I would usually start with all the filters closed and open them one by one to make a selection of the one I like. To do that, I'll make sure the sum is deactivated and we have a 100% wet signal. Or you can load the preset 0, that is the same starting point. But maybe we can try to make it more stereo. To do that, you can either delay the left or the right channel here to create a Hass effect. Or you can activate the split. That will put the first row on the left and the second row on the right. So I think that's way cleaner now. That's a sound I originally left out in that project, but the P915 allows me to shape it better, so it fits better in the mix, and that's pretty nice. So now let's open another project to design some sounds from scratch. That'll be fun. So in this project I already have a kick. So the goal is to create a bass that goes with this kick. So I will create a new track, load an operator. So I'll start with a simple sawtooth waveform with no sustain, a short decay, so we have a plucky sound. So let's write a pattern so we can try the Medusa on it. So I'll use the same process. I'll put everything at 0 and open bands one by one. Okay, I'll unmute all that and check the low shelf. And this one, I want to drive it to make it a bit more aggressive. I'll use the tilt as well. Now that feels like a bass. Let's hear with and without the Medusa. Okay, that sounds nice. So I'll put a couple of effects on it, like a distortion, some reverb, and I will also add a utility after it, just to make sure that everything under 120 Hz stays in mono. Then I will link them to a macro knob that will add both the distortion and the reverb at the same time. And while I'm at it, I will add a macro knob to add some filter envelope as well. The knob will close the low-pass filter while raising the resonance and increasing the envelope amount. So let's see, now I want to try different versions of the Medusa to have different options. For that, I will use the performance slots here, in which you can save some pre-configurations. It's a long press on the slot to save what it is now, a short press to load it back, and you can erase them all with the reset button here. So I will save this setup on the first slot and try to do another one to save on the second one. So now I can save it on the second slot. There you go. So we have two configurations now that you can compare. And actually, I will try other variations to save on every slot. So then we can hot swap between all those and you can compare them. And so I like the two first presets I did, and I can use the morph slider here to morph from one to the other. So I'll load first the first one to the source by clicking on source here, and then the second one load to target by clicking on target here. And as one is higher in tone than the other, I wonder if that could go with the filter envelope if I automate them together. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this bass, so let's try to duplicate this track and play it higher to make a lead with it. Actually, I'll make this lead longer. Okay, so let's see what it does with and without the Medusa. I may activate the split and add some chorus to it to make it wider, and then I'll control the morph slider with an LFO so it's always moving. In Ableton you can click this arrow to see all the parameters of the plugin to assign them to anything you want. So here I will select this morph and map it to the LFO here. So, I think it's pretty cool. It is fun to do. Quickly about the features that we haven't talked about yet, you have a bunch here at the top. So this is to bypass the plugin, this is to invert the phase, noise is to add noise like the original analog would do, then TX is to set how the low end is processed. You can have more lows, more mid-lows, more mids, or mid-high, or more highs to have a tighter bass. Then this is oversampling, and ABC in random or for the resonances of the filters, because they have fixed frequencies, but you can still vary their cues with that. And then you have the presets, the AB if you want to compare two versions, the volume of the wet signal, and the general volume of the plugin. So I hope that gave you a better understanding of what the P915 Medusa is and how you can use it. And if you want to try it for yourself, there is a demo version on pulsarmodular.com. The demo has all the features unlocked and you can try it for 40 days, so don't hesitate to try it out. In the meantime, that is all for me today, so thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all a good day. Bye!